My name is Blessing, and I'm 27 years old. Capricorn Queen. Born January 1998. If you believe in zodiac signs, that means I'm stubborn, ambitious, and a little too confident for my own good. If you don't believe in them, well, it doesn't matter. I still act like it's true. Here's the thing about me. I overthink, not in the cute-o, she just worries a lot way. No, my thoughts are marathon runners. Sprinters with rocket fuel in their shoes. They don't walk. They don't jog. They take off like they've got something to prove. And the worst part, they always take me with them. Some people are blessed with talents you can see: singing, painting, dancing, cooking. Me? God decided to bless me with a mind that won't shut up. Sometimes I convince myself that in my head, I have skills I don't actually have in real life. In my head, I'm a chess master, a math genius, a gambling prodigy. Out here in reality, let's just say the casinos don't exactly tremble when I walk in. And yes, I love money. I love it so much I could write poetry about it. They say money is the root of all evil. Maybe. But it's also the root of freedom, the root of peace, the root of me never having to explain to anyone why I bought another pair of heels when rent isn't even paid yet. I could do a lot of things for money, but not anything illegal. I've got my lines. But gambling? That's my weak spot. I tell myself it's just another way of investing, except I don't really have the skills. What I have is my overthinking brain, which convinces me I can calculate outcomes like I'm Einstein with a poker face. Spoiler: I can't. But before I became the kind of woman who argues with herself over slot machines, let me take you back. I was 4 years old when I learned two important things. 1. I was special. And 2. Being special was going to get me into trouble. It started with my sister. She was older, cooler, the kind of girl other girls wanted to be friends with. One afternoon, she told me that because of me, her social life was ruined. Her exact words: she said her friends didn't want to walk home with her anymore because they didn't want to walk with me. I was 4. What kind of 4-year-old ruins a whole teenager's social life? Me, apparently. The next day, she proved her point. School ended, and she walked home late on purpose, without me. So, what did I do? I decided to walk home alone. Brave little me, stomping down the road with my tiny backpack, thinking I knew exactly where I was going. Except I didn't. Within half an hour, I was lost. I remember standing on some unfamiliar street, my lip trembling, my chest tight, trying so hard not to cry. But I cracked. Tears came flooding down, ugly and loud. Time stretched into forever. Strangers passed me by. Some asked if I was okay, but I couldn't even find the words to explain myself. I just kept crying. By the time my family found me, 5 hours had passed. 5 hours. I'd cried myself into exhaustion. My sister got the blame, of course. My mom told her to stop saying mean things to me, that I was special and sensitive. And there it was, my label: special, sensitive. 2 words that followed me into every corner of my life. Now, being sensitive isn't as cute as people think. It means everything hits me harder. An insult isn't just an insult, it's a dagger I replay in my head 100 different ways. A bad mood isn't just a bad mood, it's a hurricane, tearing through my thoughts until they explode in every direction. And when my thoughts explode, trust me, the outcomes are terrible. Still, I grew up outspoken, loud, the kind of kid who refused to take insults lying down. If someone came for me, I came back twice as hard. But deep down, that little girl lost on the road, crying for hours, never really went away. And maybe that's why money became my obsession. Money felt like control, like safety, like a way to never get lost again. But obsession is dangerous, because when you're me, when your thoughts don't walk, they run, it's easy to run straight into chaos. I grew up chubby. Not the cute, pinch your cheeks kind of chubby that gets you called adorable. I mean the kind that makes other kids look at you and decide you're the joke before you even open your mouth. Every age, every class, every school year. After 10 years old, same story. Teasing, snickering, Nicknames that weren't funny the first time and definitely weren't funny the 100th. By the time I hit secondary school, I already knew how people saw me before I even entered a room. And when you don't have friends, you don't have anyone to tell you, ignore them. You're fine. It was just me and my sister. But my sister didn't see my size as a real problem. She thought it was self-inflicted, something I could change if I just tried harder. I remember trying to talk to my mom, hoping for comfort, but she said the same thing. Eat less, exercise more, toughen up. To them, my tears weren't evidence of pain, they were proof of weakness. So it was me. And my thoughts. Just me, trying to comfort myself in a body I didn't know how to love. University was worse. You'd think people would grow up by then. But no, the body shaming just got sharper, more sophisticated. I tried living with roommates, but every night I cried quietly into my pillow, not wanting anyone to hear. Some nights I failed, and the sound slipped out of me like it was tearing through my chest. Eventually, I decided I'd rather be alone than let anyone witness my breakdowns. I stopped having roommates. My loneliness became my protection. And then came Abube. She was the first person who looked at me and didn't make me feel like my body was a problem that needed fixing. She was plus size too, but the way she carried herself, pure confidence. Like her body was not just acceptable, it was desirable, powerful, undeniable. She wore clothes that announced her, not hid her. She walked into rooms like they belonged to her, and people believed her. Abube was rich. That mattered, even if I don't like admitting it. Money gave her power. Money gave her armor. She told me once, people shame you because they're jealous. If they had your size, your presence, your energy, they wouldn't know what to do with it. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But deep down, what I truly believed was that if I had her money, I'd finally be able to accept myself too. Money could buy me confidence, respect, even love. That was the story I started telling myself. That all my pain wasn't really about my body. It was about my pockets. Abube became my safe place, my person. She took me everywhere with her restaurants, parties, trips. For once, I wasn't invisible, and I wasn't the butt of the joke. I was her friend, the only one who made me feel like I deserved to take up space. But Abube was quick to cut people off. It was one of her rules. If you offend me, you're out. No second chances. At first, I admired her strength, her boundaries. Until it happened to me. Right before graduation, she told me I'd offended her. No explanation that made sense. Just cold distance. I begged her, over and over. I begged. I apologized even though I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. Because she wasn't just my friend, she was my only friend. And then she cut me off anyway. That was the day I learned the cruelest lesson of all. When you put all your hope, all your validation, all your self-worth into one person, losing them feels like losing your entire world. It shattered me, because when the dust cleared, there was no Abube, no friends, no one in my corner, just me again. Me, and my thoughts, always my thoughts. After university, I told myself my focus would be two things: money and losing weight. The money part was survival. The weight part was revenge. Every face that had ever mocked me, every laugh I'd swallowed, I wanted to silence them with a transformation so shocking it would make their jaws drop. That was the fantasy. But life had other plans. My trouble started with Jam. If you've never had to deal with their offices, count yourself blessed. I thought I'd graduate and head straight into my service year, get my NIST done, and move on to the real world. But without that certificate, the real world was a locked door, and Jam was the guard who wouldn't let me in. It took me a year and a half, 18 long months of going back and forth, queuing, begging, filling forms, and waiting in cramped offices with flickering fans and bored officials who looked right through me. 18 months of watching other people move on with their lives while mine felt stuck in a waiting room with no exit. By the time I finally fixed the issue, I had already given up on the idea of a job. I didn't dream about interviews or 9 to 5 anymore. I dreamed about money, fast money, easy money. So when I finally entered service here, My heart wasn't in the work. All I could think about was getting rich quick. I wanted to learn a skill, something real, something useful, but I didn't know anyone who would take me in. No mentor, no workshop, no guiding hand. Just me, scrolling, searching, desperate. Instead, I fell for every get-rich-quick scheme I came across. If it promised returns, I was there. The little money I made during service here, all of it went into scams, pyramid schemes, fake investments, online fraudsters smiling behind anonymous phone numbers. Each time I told myself, this one is different. Each time, I was wrong. By the end of NISC, I was broke. Not just broke in my wallet, broke in my spirit. Still, I didn't give up completely. I thought maybe after service, I'd finally go and learn a skill in person. Tailoring, baking, hairdressing, anything. But the FEs were impossible. Everything needed money I didn't have. That's when I thought about cooking. People always said I was good at it. I imagined myself selling food, maybe building a small business. But then reality set in. It wasn't just about cooking. It was about selling, about putting myself out there. Online, advertising, calling people to buy. And that's where I froze. Because confidence in marketing is a currency I never had enough of. So, instead of moving forward, I stood still, frustrated, depressed, scrolling through my phone, wondering why everyone else seemed to know the secret to money while I kept failing every test. I've always had ideas. That's the curse of an overthinking brain. You imagine yourself in every version of success before you've even taken the first step. At one point, I thought maybe TikTok would be my way out. People go viral overnight, right? People dance, talk, cook, sing, even just look pretty, and they get paid for it. But the problem wasn't TikTok. The problem was me. I was insecure. I hated my face on camera. Every video I posted, I'd watch it 20 times, picking apart the way my cheeks looked, the way my voice sounded, the way my laugh didn't match the aesthetic I thought people wanted. So I tried YouTube instead. Everyone online kept talking about faceless channels. You don't need to show your face, they said. Just post content and money will follow. So I tried. And for 2 weeks, I actually did it. Posted videos, kept up with it, even started believing that maybe this was it. My chance. My little door into the big world. Then my phone got stolen. Just like that. Everything ended. It took me 4 months to get a new one. 4 months of errands for my mom, errands for my sister, watching other people on TikTok become stars while I washed dishes, carried bags, and stayed invisible. Eventually, my mom and sister gave me money to buy a phone, and maybe if I were normal, I would have just gone to the store and bought one. But my brain doesn't work that way. I thought, if I bet with this money, I'll double it, triple it. I'll buy a phone, and still have enough left to learn a skill, maybe even start something real. What I didn't realize was that I was doomed before I even started. 200,000 naira. That's how much they gave me. By the time my overthinking, overconfident self was done, it had turned into 48,000. My stomach still twists when I think of the numbers going down. The way hope turns into shame in the space of a single bet. In the end, I had no choice. I bought a 45,000 naira used phone and pretended I wasn't heartbroken. I tried the faceless channel again, but it wasn't the same. I didn't even make it to 10 views per video anymore. Every upload felt like proof that I was a failure. Eventually, I stopped completely. That's when I shifted to another obsession, my body. If I couldn't get rich quick, maybe I could at least look good. I started working out, eating less, telling myself that the slimmer I got, the more doors would open. My plan? To finally play the game, let men spend on me the way they spent on girls, but I couldn't do things that made most guys spend on girls. I just went on one date with each person, some free meals, some 50-50. It's it. Was frustrating because I wasn't dating because I felt like I needed or wanted a man, but because I needed free money. In my loneliness, I thought of Abube, my only real friend, the one who once made me feel powerful. I searched her up online, messaged her, hoping maybe enough time had passed for her to forgive me. She replied, but the replies were cold one-word answers, stretched out over days, then weeks. After 2 months of trying to reach her, she stopped responding completely, and just like before, I was back to being alone, so I sat at home, running errands for my mom and my sister, watching life move without me. Until one day in 2024, my sister came with news. She had gotten me a job. For a moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: hope. A job. Stability. Maybe this was finally the beginning of something. But then she explained the details. Commission-based pay. I knew instantly it wouldn't work. I can't sell anything to anyone, not even myself. But I tried. For 2 months, I forced myself to go. Every sale was a mountain. Every rejection a reminder of why I hated myself. By the time I counted the money, it wasn't even enough to cover transport to and from the office. 2 months later, I quit. Went back home. Back to sleeping, eating, running errands, and thinking, always thinking. Almost. That's what my life felt like. Always almost. Almost famous. Almost rich. Almost confident. Almost loved. Almost. But never enough. Not everyone has a happy ending. That's the truth I live with. Maybe one day I'll get mine, I believe I will, but right now, I'm not there yet. Right now, it feels like I'm trapped in the middle of a story where karma is keeping score of every mistake I've ever made with money. I think about it all the time. The things I did for gambling. There was a time I was told to pay my brother's tuition, just 50,000. A simple responsibility. I should have paid it. Closed the chapter. Done the right thing. Instead, I paid half and used the rest to gamble. I told myself I'd win. Double it. Pay him back. And still have some left over. That was the plan in my head. But reality doesn't care about plans. He got sent home from school because of me. My parents didn't know why at first. They didn't know their daughter had gambled away her own brother's education. That guilt still sits in me. Then there was COVID. For some people, it was the season of making money. Online businesses boomed. Crypto rose like magic. People turned small investments into empires. For others, it was the season of loss. And me? I was one of the losers. I was supposed to pay my tuition for my final year in university. Instead, I convinced myself that if I put the money into crypto, it would multiply, and I'd pay my fees easily, with extra left over. Except I invested in the wrong coin. Watched the numbers sink until everything disappeared. That was it. Tuition gone. Future slipping. But the worst mistake, the one that still burns my chest, happened when my mother sent me to buy protein for the month. She gave me 120,000 naira to buy goat meat, fish, chicken, and turkey. I even wrote the list down, imagining the smile on her face when I returned. But the day before, I had heard about affiliate marketing. They said it was the key, the big secret. If I joined the course, I'd start making serious money. I believed them. I wanted to believe them. So I took 75,000 out of the money and paid for the course. With the little I had left, I bought just some goat meat and chicken. No fish, no turkey. And then life did what life always does to me. Before I got home, I realized my phone was gone. Stolen. My chest collapsed. I cried and cried, my tears mixing with the dust of the street as I begged the universe to give me back just one break. But the organizers of the course told me there was nothing they could do. No refund. No switching to another phone. If I tried logging in from a different device, it would go blank. They said it was to protect the information. So that was it. My mother's money gone. The food incomplete. And me, standing there with nothing but shame and swollen eyes. I've made terrible mistakes because of money. Mistakes that have eaten away at my confidence, my relationships, my sense of who I am. I tell myself it's all for the dream of success. That one day I'll look back and laugh. But right now, even my best efforts feel like a waste. Now it's 2024, and maybe the saddest part of all is this. I've started to realize that I can't even take my own advice. I've become a bad influence on myself. So maybe the only thing left to do is stop listening to me. Stop listening to the voice in my head that always says, this one will work. This one will save you. Because it hasn't yet. And I don't know how many more mistakes I can survive. After all the mistakes, after all the gambling, after all the crying, I finally listened to my own last piece of advice. Don't take advice from me anymore. And then, in May this year, something unexpected happened. My mom's friend came to our house and told me he had arranged a job interview. Nothing fancy, just a personal assistant role. 75,000 naira per month. For a moment, I thought, this is it. A real salary. A real chance. I went for the interview, nervous, rehearsing answers in my head, trying not to overthink. At the end, they told me the truth. I'd only be paid 35,000 for the first 3 months. A trial period. It stung. 35,000 wasn't what I dreamed of. But after everything I'd been through, I wasn't in a position to argue with blessings, small or big. So I accepted. When I calculated my expenses, I realized I'd only have about 3,000 left after transport. 3,000 to my name each month. It sounded impossible, but I endured it. And slowly, somehow, those 3 months passed. And then the real job began. 75,000. My first steady income. It may not sound like much, but to me it was freedom. For the first time, I didn't have to wear my mom's old clothes. I could save up and buy little things for myself without shame. Every small purchase felt like proof that I was finally taking responsibility for my own life. Working for my own money taught me something I never wanted to admit before. I'd been entitled. I wanted good things to fall into my lap. I wanted to skip the hard part, to gamble my way into success, to cheat my way past the struggle. But there's no shortcut to building a life. And now, with every paycheck, I see that clearly. Last month, my mom and sister called me into the living room one Sunday. My mom told me she could see I was finally serious. So they both contributed some money for me to start a ready-to-wear business. 3 million naira. I don't know how it happened, but I also don't know exactly how to begin. So I prayed, did research, and then took my first steps. I bought 2 sewing machines. I begged my mom to follow me to Cotonou to buy Ankara, they have the best. Then I bought some Guinea in Kano and lace in Lagos. I hired 2 tailors. Before that, I researched styles, drew some designs myself, and even used AI to bring them to life. I bought an Instagram account, connected a TikTok to it, and launched a business. I know I'm not great with the camera, but I poured my restless mind into the brand. I still keep my 75,000 naira job, because sales haven't picked up yet. The money I have left will only cover 2 more months of staff salaries. So I'm saving my salary so I won't have to fire them. I'm also losing weight, but this time, not out of desperation or shame. I hired an online coach who made me a 1-month meal plan. It's still a calorie deficit, but with foods I actually enjoy. I'm not starving myself anymore. I'm feeding myself, caring for myself. And something inside me has shifted. Now, when I start to overthink, I simply don't. If my brain starts running, spiraling into 10 different futures, I shut it down. I remind myself, it's not worth it. Not every thought deserves action. Not every idea is a solution. After everything I've been through, I'm healthier, stronger, more confident. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because I finally accepted my faults. I know my limits. I know my mistakes. And I know I can't change my whole story in one leap. All I can do is take it one step at a time. And for the first time in a long time, that feels like enough.